Hi, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and here on YouTube you know me as Epic Fantasy, and this is my latest video. This is a tutorial on how to make a sword sheath out of leather. See it? Okay, I show you a simple, easy way to do this. I show you a few different fun techniques for, giving it some detail and stuff like that. But it's not that hard. You need a little bit of leather and a few basic tools. I also show you some alternatives to try to get around it and how to stitch this. We use something called a lock stitch. So, and I did it for sting, right? That's the steel sting that I have a tutorial on how to make that and how I made that and how you can make something like that too, forge it. So we will launch a tutorial in a second. Let me say a couple of things. Thanks for watching my videos. Thanks for subscribing to my channel if you're a subscriber. I do 2 new videos every week. I got lots of fun and interesting and creative stuff, lots of how-tos and how to make all kinds of stuff, including dioramas. All right, so let's launch into the tutorial on how to make a sword sheath out of leather, and right after the introduction. Thank you. Dioramas, origami, catapults, and treasure stays, telescopes, terrariums, bonsai trees, and paper games, swords and shields, and real blacksmithing, model rockets, animation. I teach the art of real creation. StormTheCastle.com. Let's make something. All right, let's take a look at the materials. This is some medium leather, right? And we're using the skin side up because that's going to be in towards the sword, and the textured side down, and that's what shows when you look at the sheath. See it? There is a difference, and you can do it any way you want, but that's the way we did it. Now let's take a look at the tools we're going to use. Now this is a leatherworker's awl, which makes it very easy to stitch. This is a leatherworker's hole punch that has a variety of different hole sizes, and I'm going to show you a quick clip of how to do this project without either one of these tools. A pencil. A sharp knife for cutting leather. And some clamping devices like a vise or some clamps, because when we're stitching leather we want to hold it together tightly so the holes match up and we can sew it correctly. And of course, what you're going to make your sheath for. And in our case it's sting. There we go. So let's get started. Lay your sword out on your leather and draw around it like this, leaving a little bit of extra, like a ½ inch in some spots, and more in the middle there, see how the sword bows in like that? Now that's because this is a peculiar sword. You can't follow that curve, otherwise you can't, later when we sew it up, you won't be able to get the sword in and out. So just think about it as a casing there, see, that you're going to slide the sword into. And then you flip it over and you do it again side by side. Just like this. And there we go. Really simple enough. Think about folding over a sandwich, and your sword or your knife will be right in between those 2 slices. And all that center line right down the center there is kind of nice because that's less sewing we will have to do. But it looks good. So go ahead and cut it out. And you can use scissors depending on how thick your leather is, or you can use an X-Acto knife. That's it. And this is what it's going to look like. Now you can visualize it. See, we're going to be like this. We fold it over. And see that left side there on the left won't have to be sewn, which makes it saves us some time. So for all the sections that are sewn, what we do is you put a series of holes near the edge of the, clamp them together in a vise or a clamp or something like that, and then put a series of holes. And that's so we can sew it. And you have a lot of leeway with the distance on the holes, but something like that is kind of nice. The further apart they are, the weaker it is. So if you put them close together, you get a stronger bond. Looks good. So go ahead and do all the holes, right? And they all match because you fold it in half. And now we're going to do something called lock stitching. And I will show you exactly how to do a lock stitch. That's where you just sew it all the way around through all those holes. This is how you start out the lock stitch and do it. You thread your thread through your string, and make sure the tail is long enough, plenty long, to reach as far as you're stitching. And then you push the needle through, form a loop, and then put that tail through the loop and pull the needle out. And there you go, that's locked. And then you do it again. You push your needle through, form a loop, and I had a little bit of trouble finding the loop here because it was on the bottom. You form a loop, there you go, there it is. Push the tail through it. And watch this now. Once you start doing a few of them, you'll see what happens here. When you push the needle through, you just continue on like that. And then you pull the needle back, it forms a loop. See that? That's beautiful, and you'll get the feel of that. So you push the needle through and you pull it back a little bit, it forms a loop automatically, and then you can get really fast at this. There you go, just continue lock stitching. Look at that, see how fast you can get really good at it. Of course this is sped up. But you just go right down and sew that thing right up. Now let me tell you how to end it. This is how you end a lock stitch. You go in the opposite direction. Make sure you have enough tail to go that way, and then you just lock stitch in the opposite direction. So go back one hole, form your loop. See, you pull it back and form a loop, and put your tail through it, and do it again. And you can go back and forth a couple of times if you want to make it nice and strong. If you want, you can tie a little knot in the end of it, and that makes it a little bit stronger. But this string for leatherworking is wax coated, which makes it lock in. It kind of grabs and locks. So that's it. And once you get a few, half a dozen stitches or so, then you just trim it and you're done. So that's the hard part. That's the part that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to leatherworking. How do I sew it? How do I sew it? That's how you do it. Now, if you don't have these tools or you don't want to get them, you can do this. Use a pointy object like an awl, A-W-L, to form your series of holes. Just like that. And then just get yourself a needle for leatherworking, and then you can just do it all by hand. It takes a lot longer, but it's worth it. I mean, it saves you a lot of money, before you invest in the tools, if you just want to do 1 or 2 projects. So let's continue on now. The sheath is actually made. Now we're going to do some detail work, and I'll show you a couple of different techniques. See, we drew on there. You can draw on there with a pencil what patterns you want, and we're following the sting pattern. Right, just like in the movie. And hot glue is nice, so drawing various lines, and it gives it a nice bas relief kind of feel. It raises it up, and it sticks to it very well. And seeing as we just did a foil tape sword, we figured let's use some foil tape on our sword sheath too. So we cut some pieces of foil tape to make that top section of the sheath, like that. Gives it a nice silver look. And cut a variety of pieces and form them and press them down nice, until your spaces are filled in, the spaces that you want. There's a whole lot of things you can do with leather. They make stamping tools, you can stamp patterns in it and all kinds of stuff. So there's another piece to finish it off, to get that whole section done, and then just, trim it as needed. Now, seeing as this is a little bit of an odd-shaped sheath and an odd-shaped sword, we have that leaf pattern on the top, and we have it on the left there, we have it made out of the leather, but on the right there wasn't one made out of leather, so we actually just used foil to make that leaf pattern. See, you can improvise a lot of different things, have fun with it, various things, both left and top and bottom, and it forms it's like a faux leaf. So now it's uniform, left to right. And it looks good. There we go. That's nice. So let's do some painting. You can paint leather too. We're going to use silver paint. And just paint inside those patterns. We're actually painting the hot glue too. It looks better that way. There you go. Looks good. I like it. If you do paint it, you might want to seal it with something, and for that we use Mod Podge. And if you watch this channel, you know we use Mod Podge a lot. I should invest in Mod Podge stock. Okay, the only thing remaining now is a strap, and you get a lot of different ways you can do this. You can make a strap to go all the way around your waist. You do a measurement of your waist and add little extras for that. Or we're just doing a quick and easy fast strap, about a half an inch, an inch and a quarter wide, inch to an inch and a half wide. And I think it's about 24 inches long, out of the leather, the same leather, because we're just going to make a quick strap that you can quickly, with Velcro, connect to your belt or your belt loop or something like that. Just to show you how something like this would be done. See? So it would go on the sword like this. Figure out about the right way for it to hold that sword sheath. Punch some holes in it. And then sew them up using your lock stitch to make it nice and strong. And there's a lot of different, see like that, see the holes? You would sew those up to make it nice and strong. And you know, we used a couple of different techniques, including, let me show you a little bit more here first. There you go. Sew them up, make it nice and strong. And you know, we also used Velcro for the other end. And what that means is you can just quickly disconnect and connect it to either your belt or to your belt loop or something like that. So make sure you get the negative and the positives of the Velcro. One is a negative, one is a positive. And we want it to stay, and the Velcro, you know, I don't think it wants to stick to leather that well and stay that well, so we also use hot glue to make sure it stays on there nice and tight. And that's it. See, watch this now. We make a loop with it, and you're good to go. Hey, that's it. You have made a leather sword sheath. I want to give a special thanks to Danielle. She did this project. She has some expertise with leather working. So give her a thumbs up for doing this project. Thank you very much. There we go. Lots more stuff on my website at stormthecastle.com and here on my channel, Epic Fantasy. Thank you. It was a long time ago, and I only remember bits and pieces of it, but I was a hunter, I remember that, and I was on the hunt for a creature that I'd hunted many times before. We had all hunted many times before. And, something I do remember in this video, this project made me think of it, was I had a sword sheath that I had made myself from the skin of the creature that we always hunted. And I was really very proud of it. And you know, over the course of a few years, I had modified it and changed it, and I added jewels to it. And whenever I killed one of the creatures, would put a leather thong on it, one of its teeth, and I would hang it on my sword sheath. So over time, you get to be very ornate with a lot of details. And people would always comment, you know, oh, that's a beautiful sheath of a sword you have there. And it was rather vain of me, I guess, you know. So this day, I remember a little bit, I was on the hunt, and I had managed to get an arrow in the creature, but I lost track of it. Couldn't find it in the forest. I didn't know where it went. I was trying to follow the blood trail from the arrow shot. And all of a sudden, and I do remember this very well, all of a sudden, there was a loud noise behind me, and I turned to see the creature that I had been hunting coming to pounce on me. So I tried to turn around and face it and draw my sword, but I couldn't. Some of the thongs that I had added to the sheath had got stuck on some brush, and it stopped me from turning, and I couldn't get my sword out in time. I don't remember anything after that, but I do remember sometimes there's a price to be paid with vanity. You know, a mystery abounds.